On the Jewish calendar, it's the holiday of Purim, described in the book of Esther. That's when Israelis and Jewish people around the world celebrate the Jewish victory over wicked Haman, who wanted to destroy them. I want to show you this sticker. It says, "The Persian Empire, one Jewish woman, guess who wins?" And if you've read the book of Esther, you know the answer. The sticker comes from the book God and Politics in Esther, written by Yoram Hazony. I spoke with Yoram recently. He believes the book of Esther has a message for today.
Well, the book of Esther is kind of about the end of the world. Jerusalem's destroyed. There are no more prophets. God has stopped speaking to people, and you can't see him anywhere. The kingdom's gone. The armies are gone. All the glory that was Jerusalem and Israel is gone. And the Jews are scattered throughout the Persian Empire. And the question of the book of Esther is, can there be any hope in this kind of a world of despair? Something that ought to be able to speak to us today.
So how does the book of Esther relate to the situation in the world today, to politics in the world today?
Well, Esther gives us a world that is actually a lot like our own. We don't see the parting of the Red Sea, none of these grandstand miracles. And still we're supposed to see God in the world acting in a world that looks terribly corrupt. And it speaks to this. This is our world that's being described here.
How are we supposed to see God in this world? How do we relate to God in this world?
Esther is a young woman swept into the harem against her will, and she could just decide, to give up and to just be a harem girl. But she doesn't give up. She uses politics, all sorts of things that maybe we wouldn't want to do in order to get to the top. She succeeds in getting to the top. She becomes queen of Persia. She's queen to Xerxes. Now the question is this. We all like favor. We all like political favor. We love it when people love us. And Esther does too. She loves being queen. But the question is, when it comes down to it, and you need to do something to throw away that favor, throw away political favor in order to do the right thing, do you have it in you? According to the book of Esther, that's the key to saving your soul.
And how does that relate to, okay, you mentioned it a little bit, but how does that relate to the idea or the concept that God is sovereign?
Esther is all about God's kingship. But the question is, does God, when you're a king, right, when you're king of a nation, do you do every single little thing? Or do you have ministers and generals and advisors and assistants who go and do the work for you? Now, that idea of God's kingship in Hebrew scripture, that's the idea that God needs deputies, that God can't do it alone. And that you see that throughout the Hebrew Bible, God can never do it alone. God always works through human beings.
What do you believe that God is calling people, Jews, Christians, whoever, to do today in response to the message of Esther?
First of all, Esther tells us that, teaches us that in every place where we are, no matter how small we feel, we may have a role to play. And it's up to us to find that role, to use whatever resources and skills and abilities we have, to be willing to sacrifice, to make sacrifices in our standing, in our personal place in order to find the right thing and to do it. And people talk about, really we should have done more during the Holocaust. And of course we should have done more. Lots of people should have done more during the Holocaust. There's so many persecuted peoples in the Middle East. And these are people, they need us to step forward.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I think it's important to identify with the emotions that Esther goes through, because we can learn so much from it. She has to go into to the king. She knows that her chances of succeeding in convincing him to save her people are almost zero. To learn that, to understand, to internalize it and understand what it means for us, how each of us can prepare ourselves to sacrifice the things that we know and love in order to do the right thing. That's real soul work. That's real work on your soul. And Esther's a special book. It teaches that almost better than anything else in Scripture.